here. We will spend most of the time on signing day. If you have any questions about this week's game that would normally be on Thursday, we'll get to those first. But go ahead and open it up for questions. I'll just start with Parker Gabriel, Journal Star.
Scott, how are you?
Good, Parker.
So I know you're going to maybe be a little bit younger than you were before the season on the offensive line. Are you tempted at all, with the last game on the schedule to try to fit more young players than just a guy like Turner into the game? Or do you approach your travel roster and everything just like you have so far this season?
No, pretty much like we have the whole season. Guys that have been ready to play and deserve to play have been playing. There's been a lot of those, but we're not gonna force feed anything. We're gonna play the guys that are ready to play and deserve to play, and that's still quite a few young guys.
Like Sam, you got something on this week's game? Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Here's my video. It's back.
Good.
Okay. When are you guys leaving for the game? Are you flying into the snowstorm? Are you waiting to leave on Friday?
No, we're a little bit concerned about that. I think we leave around 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It's a long flight out there. We got to see when this storm's pass through, and all I know is what I've read on the internet, but it's supposed to be a big storm, so hopefully the airport's open and everything goes well.
Cool. I'll save my recruiting questions for later.
Looks like one more from Parker on this week's game. Go ahead, Parker.
Scott, not on the game specifically, but Tate Wildeman had put something on social media about looked like he was in the hospital. Did he have a surgery? And what can you say about a guy like that who's dealt with obviously multiple injuries so far in his career?
Yeah, we still feel like Tate has a bright future. Tate played a little bit for us early in the year. Was really coming on. Just hasn't been healthy. Sometimes that keeps recurring. Sometimes the guy just has some bad luck at the beginning of his career. But we got really high hopes for Tate, and he wanted to get this done, so he was back healthy for spring ball. So looking forward to the future with him.
Andy Kendi.
Scott, having the disappointing finish against Minnesota, how did the guys bounce back this week in terms of preparation for Rutgers, and how have they dealt with one of their guys on the offensive line deciding to move on and opting out?
The guys have come to work every day and done everything we've asked them to do. I don't think we're alone. The guys are, I think, a little tired. This has been a long year. A lot of our guys got back in March, April, just not being able to ever go home, not being able to do a lot of things around town. I think guys are a little bit tired, but they're excited to play, prepared really well. So our guys love the fact that they're getting to play football. Jaime meant a lot to us. Haven't seen much of a change in practice. Turner's done a really good job all week, and other guys at that position, so haven't really noticed a difference there.
All right, Sean Callahan has one on the game, and then Sean, if you want to go ahead and move on to signing day with your second question.
Okay, I had one on the game, Coach. What do you tell your team right now, like the guys that aren't traveling? Are they just free to go on, or are you keeping guys kind of around just because of the unknowns of what's next?
Yeah, I think we're going to try to keep them around until we know everything for sure. I just don't know enough to know much past Friday. That's assuming we get there and everything goes well. We'll have to make those decisions then. So we're playing things by ear, just kind of like we have all year.
What has Bill Moose told you about the bowl game process with the Big Ten and the ADs? I mean, because I'm sure there are some schools that have said, you know what, we're not going to go no matter what. I mean, did they talk about that? Do you know, as far as trying to slot these things, because it's going to move pretty quickly?
Yeah, I'm not on those calls. Talked to Bill a little bit about it. There's a chance we'd have an opportunity to go play if we decide that's what the players want to do. I think there's a lot of schools that are deciding not to. I'm not sure that's all COVID reasons. It's just been a trying year for a lot of people. So, again, we'll address all those things after the game.
All right, and then on the signing day class, I know the fans probably like the drama and the hoopla of signing day, but I'm sure the coaches probably enjoy a drama-free day. What did you think of the day itself, as far as just how it went for you guys and how this class came together?
I'm really impressed with the work our staff did, considering the fact that we couldn't go on the road recruiting, we couldn't get kids to come in here. I think we signed a really good class, a lot of pieces that are going to fit together with what we have. And I think it's going to be the key to getting us over the top. We just got to continue to add talent, and I feel like this group did that. I think it's a little more of a regional class. We got 5 kids out of Nebraska again, a lot from the Midwest. That I think there's good talent in the state right now, and we're trying to get as much of that as we can. There's good talent in the region, and some really good pieces from a little farther away too. So considering everything that was going on with a COVID year, I'm really excited about this group.
Caleb Henry, KLIN.
Coach, with all the different ways you had to recruit this year, what did your staff learn about itself not being able to get out in person and get the guys to campus?
What did we learn about ourselves? I don't know. We learned how to use Zoom better. One of the biggest selling points of coming to Nebraska, if you're a player, especially from far away, is coming and seeing the games and seeing the fans and meeting the people and experiencing all that. The guys had to work hard to get it done without the benefit of those things. And the group that we have coming in are great kids. I think there's really talented people in this group, and they're already pretty tight. They're on a group chat, and I think all these guys know each other really well and know some of the players on our team really well. So our staff had to, just like a lot of staffs, I'm sure, had to find new ways to get it done and different ways to get it done, and certainly feel good about where we are.
Kevin Suits.
Coach, you have one quarterback in this class. He's an in-state guy in Heinrich Harburg. When you evaluate him, how much is he maybe above some of the other quarterbacks that have come through this state over the past 10, 15 years?
Been impressed with him since the first time I watched him. Love his size, love his arm strength, his overall athletic ability. I think with some training, he has a chance to be really good quarterback for us. So we got to add him to that group and get to work with him. And he's from right near my hometown, so we used to play Kearney Catholic all the time back then. We used to beat them up pretty good. I think they're getting the best of it now. A lot of that has to do with him, but really like talking to him. He's really committed to being good and determined, and I think he's got a ton of raw material to work with to make him a good player.
Evan Bland, World Herald.
Hey, Scott, I'm just curious, how much did the circumstances around the pandemic, first of all, limit the pool of prospects you as coaches went after? And then conversely, did you get the sense that the recruiting limitations maybe helped simplify the process for some of the guys that you ended up signing?
It might have simplified it a little bit. I hadn't really thought about that, but we still worked really hard to identify as many people as we could that thought could play here. We're going to offer quite a few guys and try to recruit quite a few guys. Anybody that we think is above the line and somebody that's going to make our program better. That number probably got whittled down faster this year than normal. A lot of kids saying if they can't ever get here and see it, that's just a hard sell for some kids. But the relationships with our coaches gets us the type of kids that we want to get, and we were able to foster those relationships even without having seen some of these kids ever in person. So again, kudos to the coaching staff. They worked hard to get this done.
Compared to maybe some other classes, how well do you feel like you guys know this group of prospects coming in?
I still feel like I know them all really well, but there's several I've never been in the same room with. I've never seen in person. There's been probably more phone calls this year, more FaceTimes, more chats, those types of things than maybe even other years, probably for sure more than other years. So you get to know somebody, but without home visits and official visits and unofficial visits, there's a few that I've never met before. So looking forward to working with this group, though.
Back to Parker Gabriel.
Scott, I know you guys don't like to really push guys on whether they're going to come early or not, but it seems like a big group, maybe a dozen or so of this class is going to. What does that do for them? And do you think that the pandemic maybe affected that decision for some of those kids too?
It might have, the way high schools are right now in COVID, I might be ready to get out of there too. I don't know. I think some of them, spring sports were a question mark, and prom was probably a question mark, and they're probably tired of half days in school and those types of things. But there's just more and more of that happening too. Kids are ready to take the next step and move on. I think kids that do early enroll get a chance to go through spring ball, get accustomed to college, get accustomed to the team, and that gives them a better opportunity probably to play early than if they showed up in June or July. So I think we got 13 coming in early, and that's a good number. It's going to help our depth and our talent pool in the spring.
Ed Sherman.
Hey, Scott, I'm sure you're ready to be done with Zoom for a while, but are there some things that you guys picked up as a staff this year, with technology, whether it's virtual visits or anything else that where you communicated differently that can help you in the future in a normal recruiting cycle?
I think definitely got to give a lot of credit to the recruiting staff, Dylan and Callahan and Mossbrucker. Also a lot of credit to Ora Garst, does a lot of our social media stuff, a lot of the videos that people watch, helped us out with some of the virtual visits and those types of things. And I think there is a use for some of that going forward. Ideally, we still get a lot more kids to Lincoln. I think that gives us our best chance when kids come see it for themselves. But this has probably made us work a little harder to find ways to share with kids what Lincoln's like and what Nebraska's like without getting them here.
I've got a question too about the tight ends. The decision to go with 3 in this group, and then specifically on Fedoni, just what you see for his potential as a weapon in this offense down the road.
Yeah, there's 3 guys. You never know where guys are going to end up position-wise, but at the tight end spot, we've only recruited a couple since I've been at Nebraska. Those guys aren't in the program anymore for a couple different reasons, so we really are veteran at that spot. Jack's a senior, and Austin and Rafdal and Tyler are all juniors, and we don't really have anybody on scholarship younger than that. So it's a position we had to restock. I love the group we have. All 3 guys are big, talented athletes. Thomas specifically probably has as much potential as about anybody I've recruited. When you watch his tape and look at his frame and his speed and just the talent that he has. So we're anxious to get to work with him, and I think he's going to be probably versatile enough. We can do quite a few things with him.
Sam McEwen.
Hey Scott, obviously you never want to overhype a player or overhype their importance, but what do you think of the quality of the players on your offensive and defensive lines? So I think you've got 2 defensive ends at this moment. Maybe you guys will add more later, and I think you have 3 offensive linemen. They're all huge people. What do you think about the way that you guys are recruiting in terms of the frame there, and then the quality of the players that you got?
Yeah, the quality of players we have right now, or the ones in
the recruits, the quality of the player of the 5 recruits.
Oh, well, I can talk about all of them specifically. Teddy's a kid from right here in state. He's got a huge frame. I think once we get to work with him, and once he's really improved, I think through high school. But somebody with that kind of size and athletic ability has a ton of potential. When you talk about Branson Yeager from Utah, he's a huge human being too, but also a really good athlete. And then Henry since I've been recruiting, one of my favorite guys to talk to. He's just 100% committed to football. He moves really well for his size. You know, we're in a league with big guys, and I think right when our staff got here, we didn't think we were big enough to hold up against some of the huge people we were playing every week. So we made a real effort to get those guys, but we can't just take big guys either. These three kids are really good athletes, and with training, I think they can be exceptional players. The two D linemen, Jalen Weaver's a kid that Tony worked hard to recruit. Man, he's huge and he can really move. He's violent, so we're excited about him. And Ruquan Buckley is one of the few that got to campus before COVID hit. I developed a really special relationship with him. I think he developed a special relationship with this place. We had to fight off a lot of people at the end to get him to sign, but he's just a great person and great athlete too. So that being said, you know, I always giggle that Coach Osborne never said anything about anybody other than I think he can be a pretty good player, and that's probably all I really need to say, because you know, you don't want to hype people too much. They got to come earn it, and but feel really good about what we have on the team at those spots right now, and the addition of these kids that I think can be really good.
Thanks.
Andy Kendi.
Scott, listening to some of the kids in the interviews today earlier, it was obvious that they want to be a part of turning this program around. Is that a common theme when talking to these guys, that, yeah, maybe they could go to a team that's currently in the top 10, but they really want to be a part of the foundation of turning this Nebraska program around?
I think there's some of that motivation. Honestly, we talked to them about it a little, but I think that's kind of grown within just this recruiting group, and they're talking about it, maybe talking about it with some of our young players that are just as determined and committed to get that done. We're going to get that done. This group is certainly going to help, and man, Nebraska people are going to go nuts once that happens, and they're going to love these kids for it. So it can be a lot of fun.
Hey, Scott, I want to ask you too about an 8-man player in Seth Malcolm, a unique talent. Does it show that you're willing to take a kid, no matter what level of football he plays, and give him a chance to prove himself if he's got that potential?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a history of a lot of 8-man players playing and doing well here, and including my father. Seth's just a really good athlete. And, I don't care what level of football you play at. An athlete's an athlete, and linebacker's position where we needed to add talent and depth, and we liked him from the first time we watched his tape. Got a great kid from a great family, so 6-man, 8-man, 12-man, 11-man, I don't really care, and Seth's going to be a good addition.
Thank you.
Andrew Ward, KLKN.
Hey, Scott, you mentioned the in-state kids. You got 5 of them this year. Just what excites you about that group?
Well, first and foremost, when you're from Nebraska and you come play at Nebraska, you just bleed scarlet and cream. I think those kids are going to care a lot and do whatever they have to do to be great here and to help the team win. I'm really excited about Kobe Bretz. Kobe's a kid we didn't offer right away, and watching him his senior year, I thought he was about as good as any football player or safety we looked at. His size and athletic ability, I think, give him a chance to be really good. We already talked about Harburg and Teddy. A.J. Rollins is a kid with just huge upside and untapped potential with his size and athletic ability. And then James Carney, again, another kid we didn't offer right away, but watching his senior year, man, he runs so well for a guy his size, has great hands, was a position of need for us, and that's a really good group to get from right here in the state. Hope Nebraska keeps producing talent like this, and if there's a kid we think's good enough, we want him here.
Brian Christopherson.
Scott, I jumped on a little late, so sorry if you're asked this, but with your wide receivers and tight ends kind of combined receiver wise, what do you like about just, the talent you have and size wise and what you've added with your receiving options?
Yeah, you talked about the O line and D line. Probably need to be. We focused on trying to get them bigger in recruiting. There's some schools in our league right now with 350, 400-pound guys playing on the offensive line, and that doesn't mean that a smaller guy can't do it. But I think we needed to be bigger. Receiver's another position where we'll take a special athlete no matter what his size. We've certainly had and have some that aren't real big that are exceptional players. But this group of receivers is going to give us some length, some catch radius, some physicality, and they're all really twitchy athletes too. I'm really excited about the receiver group. We've talked about the tight ends, but Latrell and I have really bonded. He's a great kid to talk to. He and I have several acquaintances, kids that I've coached from down in Houston, Braylon Addison and Josh Huff, being a couple of them that know him and talk to him about their experience with our staff, with Coach Lubick and I. He's still playing, and I think he has a chance to be special. Camonte Grimes is a kid just a twitchy, big, exceptional athlete. Basketball player, great track and field marks, huge upside. Super excited about him. And then Sean Hardy, when you talk to him, he's not just a great athlete, football player. He's a brilliant kid. So I was talking to him about his homework the other day, and he was trying to explain something to me that I didn't understand. So it's good to have that type of kids in the program, and we feel great about this receiver group and where we're going with that position.
What do you like about Gabe Irvin as your guy at running back?
He can do everything that we need a running back to do. I think he's big enough to run physical. He's fast enough to potentially give us some more big plays. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. His senior tape was really good. His junior tape was really good, but his senior tape I was super impressed with. And we got some young running backs in the room right now. He's going to fit in great with those. It's going to be fun to watch that competition. But Gabe's the guy that I look forward to coaching.
Thank you.
Time for 3 or 4 more quick ones. Parker, Gabriel.
Scott, not to fully just go down the list of all the guys you've got, but I'm curious with a guy like Randolph, he's been in the class for a long time. I'm sure he had plenty of other options. What do you like about him? And without a guy who is maybe a true off the edge, a 6'5" linebacker or something like that, are a couple of those guys in your linebacker group guys that could play inside or outside down the line?
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about this linebacker group. I think all of them can probably play inside or outside linebacker for us. Randy's super twitchy. Man, when you watch him, he covers ground fast. He strikes on the move. He's violent. But Seth and him and all the other linebackers, Makai, all the other linebackers that we recruited, I think are going to be capable of playing multiple positions for us. And that's going to be valuable and help them get on the field faster.
Evan Bland.
Scott, this class just broadly wasn't able to take official visits, to go to any of those summer events, things like that. How unique do you think it is the way this class came together kind of organically, meeting on their own? And then what effect did their peer recruiting with other guys, what effect did that have on how the class turned out?
I think it kept them together. Somebody asked me about a drama-free signing day. We expected to sign this group of kids. They all signed this morning. I called them all and told them congratulations. I think their bond and talking to each other and their determination to turn Nebraska into a winner probably held the class together really well and made our jobs easy. And I hope they continue to make our jobs easy.
Mitch Sherman.
Hey, on the numbers, are you thinking you'll look to add anybody here between now and February? And then overall on numbers, just like bigger picture, recruiting. I mean, senior decisions coming up, upticks nationally, and with the portal. How much of a challenge does this offseason present for you in terms of roster management and just having everything right?
Yeah, I think a lot of schools are having more challenges this year with roster management than normal. It's kind of a moving target right now. We got to see exactly what the rules are, how many of our seniors are coming back, if they decide to come back or not, how many spots we're going to end up with, how many spots under the 85. I do expect to add at least one, probably more than that, before February, and we always like to keep a spot or two in our back pocket in case a special player turns up that we might be able to get to add to the team in a position of need. So love the group we have. I don't expect that we're done.
Finish up back to Sam McEwen.
Hey, Scott, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk about the walk-on class, specifically Alex Bullock out of Creighton Prep.
Yeah, with each walk-on class, there's several in each group that I fully expect by the time they leave Nebraska that they're going to earn playing time, maybe be starters, and probably earn scholarships. Alex is certainly one of those guys. I think he's one of the best players in the state this year. I think he could play multiple positions. We're lucky to get that kind of talent. I know those guys are going to come in with a little bit of chip on their shoulder and also be motivated to help us win, but they're going to compete. And there's a lot of talent in this group of walk-ons, so if those guys come in with that attitude, we're going to give them every opportunity that everybody else has to earn playing time, and if they do, we're going to take care of them financially.
I had one more question about the running back position. When I look back at the running backs that you had both at Oregon and UCF, not only were they good, a lot of them were good right away, very, very quickly in their careers. What do you think has been elusive at Nebraska, with the exception of Maurice, who isn't here anymore, at that position, and how do you get it fixed in a short period of time between now and the start of next season?
Well, this year, Sam, I think several of those young guys would have had a chance to make a lot bigger impact. It was a little bit like the receiver room that, Savion was hurt and then came back and then got COVID and had another injury, and Marvin kind of the same thing. Had a couple nicks and dings here and there, missed the Purdue game because of a false positive. When you have that kind of stuff going on, it's just hard to give the guys the reps they need to develop on time. And this was just such a weird year too. A couple of those guys, young guys, enrolled early, but then didn't get spring ball. And because of COVID restrictions, we couldn't spend much time with them as coaches this summer to help teach them. We had to do things on Zoom. Then fall camp was broken and we didn't get pads on. And then when you add an injury here and there and some other missed time, and it's hard to bring those guys along from a development standpoint. With a full off season, I got no doubt that a lot of these young players, particularly at running back, can be ready.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you after the game on Friday.